This is gonna be an incoherent rant about my experience in the book community while I'm taking my hair down. Because I have nothing else to do and nothing else to film. Hi, hello, sup. Yeah, I know my hair looks bad. I know it does. We're working on it. We're fixing it, okay? I might not get this style again. When I had it when it was red and it was like to here, that felt cute until I give it like middle part, and then like something about like up here, the way my head just feels like my hair just sits in like a box, which is why I always wore wraps over the top of my head or wore it in a ponytail. I don't like to do my edges as well, so deal with that. I'm lazy, okay? I'm lazy. One day I was on live and there was this troll account that hopped into my live and just said, looks like those braids need to be taken down. Keep in mind, this was February. I got these braids done like end of January, and this was like second week of February they said that to me. I'm like, hello? Excuse you? One day I'm gonna walk up here, and I'm gonna have locks. I'm not gonna say a word. My hair is gonna be locked in. I'm not gonna say a freaking word. That probably won't happen. I want my afro to get like this big before I ever lock it. That's way when the locks happen, they happen like here, you know? But my hair is short and that's never gonna happen. Hi, welcome to another rant. It's time to take my hair down again, and therefore it's so much better for me to yap and take my hair down. That way I have video content. Hello. No scissors this time because my hair is already short as it is. And although I know like this strand is probably like to here, I'm not cutting this. I'm scared. So today this rant will be involving the bookish community, the one we know and love. Today I could be talking about the hellscape that is the worst corner of the book community, but I don't use book Twitter that often, so we're gonna talk about booktok. I'm gonna start from the back. There were 4 nations of the book community. There was booktube, bookstagram, book Twitter, and booktok. And then everything changed when book Twitter attacked, which they do constantly, because Twitter within itself is probably the worst place on the internet. It was like before, was it bad? Sure. Are there awful people on Twitter? Definitely. But ever since Muskie took over, it just gotten way worse, you know? It's just like one of the most judgmental corners of the internet. I feel like if we're gonna talk about judgmental, like booktok is there, but book Twitter is just like where Satan resides, you know? Or Twitter just in general is that way. But don't get me wrong, booktok can also be awful. Let me just preface by saying that I've been on booktok for around 2 years, roughly. It'll be 2 years in April. And man, I never knew how much drama the book community could possess till I joined it. I didn't even know drama could happen there, but like drama can happen everywhere. Drama happens in like makeup community all the time, right? Am I a resident of booktok? Yeah, I am. And that's not for like any particular reason. Booktube just seems like the place for long informed views. It's like the grandma of the book community. It's just, she's there, she's kicking. And I never engaged with booktube outside of like being in middle school and typing in Divergent trailer, you know, like that. Booktube, I didn't really know there was a space for that. And then there's bookstagram. I'm not a bookstagram resident. I do have a bookstagram. You should follow it. But I just think that bookstagram in itself is more for aesthetics. It's more like a place for like where you want to take the cutest picture. Like Instagram in itself is the place where people on the internet go to act like the world isn't a burning like dumpster fire, despite the fact that it is a dumpster fire. They go on Instagram and they're like, everything's fine. I went to New York again. Look at me at the cafe. Here's my tea and my book. The colors match. I'm like, meanwhile, everything around them is just like burning. And then you have book Twitter. Oh, book Twitter. Okay. I think when it came for me personally trying to form a community on book Twitter, I just didn't want to make a new account. I didn't want to make a new Twitter account. It's been like 2 years into the pandemic when I started getting back into reading, and I had already formed like a community with just like people from my school, because like I was in college. And then, like, it was like, I had my whole first semester of college. Everything's fine. Then we were about to get to spring break, and they're just like, you can't come back. I'm like, oh. So we all just friended each other on Twitter, and that was how we communicated. And I just didn't feel like making a new account again just to join book Twitter. So booktok was there. TikTok was there in general. And at that time, it was that time where it was BLM movement. All the black and brown creators were talking about like the disparities of being in an industry, like every industry, even actors were talking about it, directors, writers, any creative, any person in a space working talked about the disparities of being black and brown, working in these industries during like the BLM movement, where everybody was like, we support black people. We don't want black people dead. No. Why would you say that? Look at the black square we posted. So at that time, time I was following a lot of Black creators and I wanted to get back into reading, so I was like, okay, well, if I want to get back into reading and back into books, I might as well just follow all the Black and brown people that like to read, all like the diverse people that like to read books, right? And then I made well-informed decisions. I stayed in there for a long time, for like several months, to like gather my bearings and be like, okay, what books are popular right now? What books are people reading? What books are people not reading? And then I found out all the authors that you like shouldn't read from, all the authors that I like immediately got red flags from. I watched a lot of My Name is Marinez, Read with Cindy, or now it's just with Cindy. I watched a lot of Reads with Rachel, and I love the well-informed opinions of people who like books, but also the well-informed opinions of people who didn't like certain books, and how people who don't like books, they can go into depth about how much they don't like a book, which is why most of my first reads were like A Broken Blade, Legend Born, Daughters of Enri, and then there was like Anna Huang and Lauren Asher and Kennedy Ryan. Now, do I kind of think I'm better than some people because my first read wasn't Sarah J. Maas or Colleen Hoover? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit, not to brag. But that doesn't negate the fact that BookTok has problems. BookTok does have problems. But not for the reason that you're thinking, probably. But let me give you a few questions. Is BookTok a problem? Does BookTok have a problem? Or did you just forget that books existed outside of the internet? Outside of BookTok. And so now, because BookTok is your only way to gauge what books are out and what books are popular, you think that all of publishing is going down the drain because you don't read. I'm asking a question. I'm just asking a question. Like, is BookTok a problem, or did you just see something trending because that's what the algorithm's supposed to show you? They're supposed to show you things that are trending and popular that they think you would like, and because you refuse to have your algorithm cater itself to you, you think that all of BookTok has an issue because you refuse to do further research outside of like the main straight cis white page that you scroll on when you type in BookTok once. Someone made a TikTok about this and stated it perfectly. Going on TikTok and typing in BookTok and thinking you're gonna get like the best book recommendation is like walking up to a librarian and going, gimme book. And the librarian's supposed to be like, what? If you don't tell TikTok what type of book you want, they gonna give you whatever. Duh. Don't walk up to me asking like, do you have book recs? I'm gonna ask you, what do you like? And then maybe we can make an informed decision. If you don't like the books that I recommend, fine. Go somewhere else. Why is that so hard for y'all? Y'all sit there and say, BookTok gave me the worst recommendations. Guaranteed, you're gonna find the same people that recommend those books on Bookstagram. You're gonna find the same people that recommend those books on Book Twitter. The thing is that you think the entirety of literature lives within this one cesspool that is BookTok. No, books have existed before TikTok, and they will continue to exist after TikTok, after Instagram, after Twitter. So BookTok isn't the problem that you're seeing something popular. You just refuse to search. You think that Sadie over on TikTok is gonna recommend you the book that you want to read. But the problem is, right, Sadie doesn't know you. When Sadie says, I recommend this book, Sadie doesn't know your taste. Sadie doesn't know you exist. So you can't sit there and be like, you lied to me. How did Sadie lie to you? She don't know you. What did she lie to you about? Because she likes a book and you didn't? She's a liar? Does that make any sense? No. Another example of this I saw today. So because somebody likes something, they're not fully honest? I don't think that's accurate. Somebody also said this earlier today. They saw somebody post like a review about like Beyonce's hair care, and I've seen a bunch of positive reviews about Beyonce's hair care brand. But because they saw one review that was kind of negative on it when they tried it on their hair, because of course it's not going to work for everybody's hair, they're like, finally, an honest review. Why does an honest review do you have to be negative? What? I think the haterade that is happening in society is a plague. It is a plague. No one's saying you're not allowed to not like something, but because somebody doesn't like something, that means it's honest? Is that how you move through life? Like, I like a lot of books and a lot of things, and a lot of people had said that I give good book recs, because I do. But I don't really throw out book recs like they're candy, because I know that sometimes people won't like certain things that I like, and on top of that, because of that, I don't want you shitting on the thing that I love. I will gatekeep to no end. Do you understand me? In case I really want to shove the book down your throat, I will gatekeep to no end, because y'all are mean. Y'all are mean. I'm mean. But y'all are so mean. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we're gonna get into my personal issues with BookTok. This video could have been saved to like April, but again, I'm in like a reading slump and I have nothing to film. So this might be a video for this week. We'll see whenever I upload this, because right now it's March. And I had one more month left to make this whole thing. We'll see what happens. Now, BookTok. Is it the best place in the world? Absolutely not. TikTok in itself is a nightmare. It is. It can't be. Especially if you're a black or brown person trying to grow on that app without trying to be like, I don't know, too confrontational, or like if you're just like average. If you're just chilling, you're an average Joe. Sometimes it's hard to like navigate that algorithm because the algorithm is never on your side. Remember that. The algorithm is most of the time, it's not really on your side. People who ask for book recs on TikTok without being specific as to what they want to read. Sometimes it's not going to be on your side. And most of my complaints can be dumbed down to the algorithm, right? It can be dumbed down to the algorithm, but also how outsiders that don't read engage with this space. Because let me tell y'all, there's some of y'all that are the worst. Everybody's the worst on TikTok, but some of y'all are just like, I can't keep doing this with you. I really can't. And this isn't me saying that book Twitter isn't also awful. Like, yeah, sometimes book talk ends up in the news. So does book Twitter. Are we just gonna forget? Why on God's green earth would you write a fake excerpt from a book that you assumed you wouldn't like based on a blurb and then post that as if it came from the book, so then that author could experience the utmost amount of hate, just so then when you got caught, sit there and go, you're the ones that read it wrong, you're the ones that read it. Most of the people didn't even know the book came out. The book hasn't even come out yet. I didn't think. I think there were only like arcs out, and you created a fake blurb with no specificity if that was real or not, and then just decided like you're all the ones that have media illiteracy. Like, no, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. What are you, like, BS. The most BS. Or shall I remind y'all of the Kate Corain that recently came out to say that they're not racist. Yes, they targeted black and brown authors, but that doesn't make them racist. Yes, they did it while having a plethora of Goodreads accounts that mimicked ethnic people's names to then comment on those ethnic authors' books saying that they were bad, but they're not racist. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying that all of book Twitter is bad. Obviously not. I have plenty of friends that operate in the book community throughout every internet space, whether it be Bookstagram, BookTok, or book Twitter, or booktube. So I'm not gonna generalize them. But I will say, you ain't saints, so stop acting like it. Because generalization is very irritating. Hence how people generalize BookTok. BookTok only reads the same 5 books. No, that's the algorithm doing its job. It's gonna show you something that's popular, and it's gonna keep showing it to you, because it's popular. Trends exist. You're mad at trends. You're not bad at BookTok. All BookTok reads is smut. Again, a majority of people that are engaging in BookTok are grown adult women, and smut is normalized in books as much as it is normalized for some people in society. Like, some people in real life like to do the freaky deaky, so they gonna write it in a book that they gonna do the freaky deaky. There are other books out there that don't have that are for adults. There are strictly no spice content on BookTok, and if you would have just looked that up for like 2 seconds, you would find it. But instead, you want to say that's all it is and they're addicted to corn, which that's a different conversation for another day that I cannot get into right now. Instead of you just typing in no spice content, you sat there and you went, well, this is all there is. After I scrolled for like 2 minutes and that was all I saw. No. You're just lazy. Like, at the end of the day, it's just laziness, because I've been on book Twitter, and the entire time I was on it, the only content I saw was like some white books by white authors, but a majority of it has been black content by black content creators for black authored books that you would never see on the first scroll of BookTok. Like, if I type in BookTok right now, this is what it looks like. That's not what I read. So what do? I keep looking. But instead, y'all never want to keep looking. You scroll once and then you're like, this is all it is. You never pick up a book again. It seems like the only people that think that BookTok is just one certain type of cesspool don't read. I need you to go outside. I need you to get off, put TikTok down, go outside, search up your local Barnes & Noble, walk past the BookTok table and keep walking. Like, you won't burst into flames if you walk into the store. I promise you you won't. Or go to an indie bookstore. They probably have better selections for you. I know. Search engines are hard nowadays. For some reason, y'all don't know how to use them. On TikTok or anywhere else, y'all can't use a search engine to save your life. But please, I'm begging you, try it. It's not scary. Type in what type of book that you want. Type in the specifics. Now, reading speeds. I am so sorry to whatever grade school teacher made you feel inadequate because you had a different way of learning. You had a different way of gathering information. You were called out. You have too many traumatic experiences from popcorn reading, and some teachers probably made you feel a certain type of way when you had to go on that collective group trip, that collective scheduled group trip to the library. I am so sorry. But Now we are all grown adults. We gotta throw that out the window. We gotta let that trauma go. We gotta let it go. Some people read fast. Some people read slow. Recently, there was a video that someone on Law Talk came out with, just basically just like berating people for reading fast, saying that they're not taking in information, which is like a common thing that y'all love to complain about on BookTok when you see someone that can read faster than you. But the problem is, right, you never take into account book formatting, page count, word count, whether that person's reading a bunch of novellas or whether they're reading 20 chapter books. Like, you never think of that. You just think every book is the same. And so if I'm reading books that are 300 pages, everybody else must be reading books that are 300 pages. So if they're reading books that are 300 pages, how come they're doing like 200 of those in a year and I'm only doing 10? Like, and I gotta say, at the end of the day, why do you care? Why does it matter? You're a grown-ass adult. We're all grown adults here. If fucking Mackenzie wants to read 300 romance books and you want to read 5, at least you're reading something, right? But no, it's never the case. It's always you thinking that somebody came on here saying, hi, I read 325 books this year and these are my favorites. You heard that, but immediately what processed through your mind is, hey, guess how many books I read? Guess 300. Yeah. How many did you read? You didn't read any? Okay, but how were they like 500-page books? That makes like sense. Like Monte Cristo, like that's the Count of Monte Cristo is like a long. Oh, you just didn't. You just didn't read any. Oh, you only read 5? I read 300. A bunch of romance, some were fantasy, some were like horror. But you only read 10? Someone's gonna be real disappointed when they're signing your reading log. Like, can we be serious? Can we be serious? At the end of the year when somebody comes on there and they say they read 400 something books, why are you sad now? Let's be so honest and be so honest and be so honest. And why are you sad? Why are you sad? You jealous? Is all that trauma flooding back from grade school when like Missy read more books than you and you felt inadequate? Is that what it is? I feel like that's what it is. I feel like a lot of teachers put a lot of people through that type of traumatic experience where now if you see somebody that sat there and goes, I like to read, you get a shiver up your spine. I feel like a lot of that also has to do with like this plague of anti-intellectualism, the underfunding of education systems, the groups of moms that are out there banning books left and right. Honestly, at the end of the day, anti-intellectualism is the real problem. And it's gotta stop. It's gotta go. Reading is okay. It's okay. It's fun. It's like a movie in your head. Most TV shows and movies, they were at once a book. Or whether you're better at processing auditory information or whatever. Another thing about like how many books people read, like y'all have like this weird hang up about audiobooks and it's giving ableism. It is. The amount of people that sit there and go, you didn't read. What? Huh? No, I did read it. It's just it processed better in my head through somebody reading it to me rather than me holding up something and physically flipping through it. Like, I'm not an audiobook reader personally, but I don't see the big deal in somebody saying that they read X amount of audiobooks, but y'all do. Again, what is that about? Because at the end of the day, it's ableism. Like, whatever speed they read it and they process that information, they read the book, and y'all are sitting there mad that somebody's not processing information in a way that you want them to. Like, so what if somebody reads 300 monster romances in a year and you're sitting there saying, you're not processing those books properly? What do you want them to process about it? It's a monster it's a romance book where you're fucking an ogre. What is there to process? What is there to process? What is it? What? That their favorite movie might be Beauty and the Beast? Like, I just don't. Who cares? Why do you care? That's one question that y'all can never seem to answer. Again, when it comes to reading paces, y'all can never answer why you care. Like, are you gonna come up to somebody after they read Shrek Smut and quiz them on it? Am I back in grade school? Or every time I have to turn in my reading log at the end of the week, make sure it's signed by my mom, and then take a test on whatever required reading we did that week? Like, what are we doing? You're a grown adult, please. But that person that was complaining about reading paces recently had a follow-up where it's another thing where we're generalizing people who like to read books with spice in it or smut, saying that they had a problem. Again, giving very much like corn addiction accusing language, right? Now, I'm not gonna lie. There are certain areas of BookTok that do have an issue with boundaries. I like to read romance books, and most of those romance books do include a little bit of spicy times. Does that mean I'm gonna go into the comment section of any random white man and start being in his comments like, BookTok is here, BookTok's been summoned? Absolutely not. And if you see those comments, run in the other direction immediately, because there is not a good person on the other end of that comment section. There's not. But I mainly won't be in those comment sections because I read a lot of black romance. You're not gonna see me in a white man's comments because you will never see those comments on a black man's account. You will never see a BookTok is here comment on an attractive black man's account because the majority of BookTok is white people, and the only people that comment that are white women. And it does get to a point where it's a bit too much. Like we have like this situation where yes, in this situation it was a black woman, but a majority of this person's audience is so, and the majority of the books they read are also, and you should not follow this person because right now they are grifting for the transphobe J.K. Rowling. So just stay far away. Stay far away. So just stay far away like everybody else is doing. Stay far away. Or there was the other time we all were in the comment section of a child just because he likes motorcycles. And he didn't understand that the people that were in his comment section were grown adult women. So he tried to garner a following by holding up like Hunger Games, any other like dystopian YA book, and be like, hey, I read. And then everybody's in his comments like, no, baby, you're so innocent. Like, I'm sorry. He's 16. That is a child. Disgusting. That was disgusting and gross. All this to say, like, yeah, there are certain parts of BookTok that do have a boundary issue. That doesn't mean it's everybody that has the problem. There are plenty of people that are calling out those people, but you will never see them because the algorithm does not push their videos. Again, the algorithm is never on your side. And the only people that think that a majority of BookTok is that way will be the ones that are on the outside, that linger, that judge, and that don't read. And there's even communities within BookTok that have their own problems, like even within certain genres that have their own problems and stereotypes. But again, I just think that most of your problems with BookTok can stem from just BookTok's algorithm or TikTok's algorithm in general just not working for you, and you refuse to make it work for you. You pop up, you might sit there, you complain that you keep seeing the same 5 books over and over again because it's trending, because they're popular. And if you want to find the unpopular stuff, just gotta scroll for a little bit longer. You gotta type in specifics about what you want to read. You can't just follow the same top like 10 accounts that have like these large follower counts where sometimes they're getting paid. Sometimes like you want to find your niche, just dig deeper, but y'all don't want to put in that work, and that at the end of the day, that's a you problem. That's you problem. That's not BookTok's problem. BookTok has other issues to worry about. There's not there. But hey, maybe things will go back to normal if BookTok's dying, or if TikTok's dying in general, because the U.S. government keeps trying to get rid of it every 6 to 5 business days. And I don't think we talk enough about how the effect they've had on publishing, because I don't think publishing is ruined because of BookTok. I think publishing follows trends. For instance, back in 2012, the trend was dystopias. The trend was YA dystopias, and you saw them popping up out of the ground all over again. BookTok didn't exist for that. And if you go back and read some of those dystopias, not all of them are great. But some of them are getting adapted in the movies. So what are you gonna do? And hey, in the next 5 to 10 years, some of the books that I hate are going to get adapted. Like, they've already been bought, they've already been picked up. Books that I love have already also been picked up, but they're black, so they're probably not gonna get adapted as fast as I would like them to. But you can't deny that BookTok has had a big impact on the publishing industry, or on people's need to want to read because they've had better access, or just like quicker access to books. I mean, during the pandemic, I feel like a lot of people did get back into reading, to the point where now you walk into a Barnes & Noble and you'll see a BookTok table, despite BookTok not being recognized at like Barnes & Noble's BookTok event that they had. It's like, you're gonna use them to sell your books, but you're not gonna like include them in your events. Weird. Sus. But I wonder how that's gonna change when BookTok is gone. If it does leave. But in the meantime, hopefully BookTok's still here by the time I upload this, and you can follow all the dope people that I follow to get my book racks, people that I trust, where they do their best to read books that are diverse, that are underrated, that won't get enough love or recognition by authors that are non-problematic. Like, TikTok's algorithm won't push me to you unless I'm talking mad shit. Unless I'm talking mad shit about like Colleen Hoover, about Sarah J. Maas. And I'm really trying to move away from that type of content that gets me like an influx of follows. But God, it's just, they keep doing things. They keep doing so many dumb things. And I'm like, why? Why are we making merch based off of books that are about like abusive relationships? Like, I'm sorry, but like, you will never see... knock on wood, you will never see Kennedy Ryan coming out with nail polish about the Hoop series, named after the one character in Longshot that was R wording the main character. Like, you will never see that. And recently I made a post about that and somebody said, well, maybe she should. What do you mean she should? What do you mean she should? Like, thank you for proving to me just how little you take seriously books with like mature content when you say something like that to me. That like, yeah, maybe a book that is based on like abusive relationships should have cute sweatpants and and crew necks, huh? No, this one won't come out. This one's stuck. And like, I don't know the major problems with booktube that they had back in the day. Like, when I look up black booktubers, like either they're not posting as often or there was like a big issue back in 2020 also with like the black community within booktube and how they were being treated. But again, I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there. And when it comes to Bookstagram, I feel like Bookstagram is like the main perpetrators of you can't post negative things on here. Everything is happy and light and aesthetically pleasing and go fun, and you can't be negative here, you can't be mean. You can't be negative or mean here. I feel like they're the main perpetrators of that because you'll get that energy also in BookTok, especially from authors, where they're like, stop being negative, you can't post negative reviews, can't do negative this, that, da-da-da-da, but it's like, no, I can do what I want. Actually, I can do whatever I want, because this is my account and that's how I feel. And your book not being liked by me is not a reflect on you as your character. Depends. Maybe your book's racist. I don't know. Maybe your book's bigoted in some way. Then you should have some talks about that. But you can't tell me to not be negative here. You can't. Like, try doing that on book Twitter. Oh, the flaming you will get. In BookTok, though I had issues with the way the algorithm likes to function, especially for black and brown creators within the bookish space, where like already books aren't being published enough, or they're not getting respected enough, or there's not even enough people behind the scenes. There's not enough black and brown people behind the scenes in publishing. I'm still very thankful for the amount of followers I got on there and the amount of friends that I've made on there, and I wish that could be reflected over here. If we can make that happen. I don't know. Maybe we can make that happen. I don't know. Does the entirety of BookTok have a smut problem, or do you just, one, refuse to look for accounts that don't post books with spice in them? Or are there just people who just don't know boundaries? I feel like there are just people that don't know boundaries, right? Like, is it smut that's the problem? Is it reading too much of it that's the problem? Or is it people that can't separate fiction from reality and then also don't know how to respect people's boundaries? I think it's the people. I don't think it's smut in general that's the problem. Maybe some people are reading too much smut. But that's not your place to diagnose, Miss Law Talk. It's not. Last time I checked, you were on Law Talk. You're not a psychiatrist. I like to read romance books. And if those romance books have a little bit of spicy times, I don't mind. But I will never be in somebody's comment section disrespecting them or their spouse. You won't catch me doing it. Because if someone did that to me, immediate block. Immediately. But that's not to say that you should be putting the entirety of the blame onto people who like to read smut. Because there's also the flip side. There's also the grown men that will want to grift off of the popularity of BookTok, grift off of the attention that they will get from a straight white female audience, and make videos where they're just holding up like ACOTAR, saying that they remind them of this, that they look like this character. Like, it's so easy for a man to come onto BookTok, pick up a book with spice in it, look up the fan art, and then pretend to be that character just for attention so they can get clicks, so they can get views, so their video gets boosted on y'all's algorithms, and then every time you hit like, they get a little money. Like, that's so easy, and men do it all the time, to the point where, like, every blue moon, I'll come onto TikTok, and I'll see a video that probably has nothing to do with books, liked by creator, where the comment says, is BookTok here yet? And I immediately scroll. I run. I'm out of there. Red flag. Immediate red flag. I don't want to be any part of that, actually. Yeah, sometimes when I do scroll on BookTok and I see a man, I get scared. And I'm like, are you straight? If I scroll on BookTok and I see a straight white man, sometimes I get scared. And I'm so sorry to any man that comes across this video that is straight, that is gonna look at me and be like, you judgmental bitch. Yeah, I'm a little bit wary. I'm a black woman in America. I'm gonna be wary of any man. I'm not sorry about it. But I will say, when you come into the community and your main platform is just like, I want to read women's smut, and that's it, as a straight man, you give me sus. You just do. Look at this nonsense. Look at that. Did my hair grow? Do you think it grew? I don't think it grew at all. If anybody out there has any tips on like hair growth or whatever, send them my way. I have thick, coarse hair and little patience and tiny hands. So doing my hair myself at this moment, until I get ADHD meds, it's a problem. Like another aspect of people that post about that like a lot of spice in their books. If you're going on a book where the person clearly said it was YA and your immediate question was, is there spice? Watch list. Watch list. Like, this video could have been 5 seconds long and I could have just summed it down to, you're lazy. You're lazy. You're just lazy. I scrolled on BookTok for like several months before I ever made a video or ever bought a book again to start like getting back into reading, to make sure like the books that I wanted to read were like good, right? Like, were like good, were like trusted, well vetted, the authors weren't weirdos, and I avoided every author that gave me weirdo vibes. And I feel like that's a good thing to do. Like, instead of just going on a BookTok and finding the first video that says like, these are most popular BookTok books that you should read. Don't do that. Like, actually think about what you like and what your taste is, and then try to go pick out a book. Because sometimes you'll end up in like a corner where, yeah, these books are popular, but the author's probably also a racist. The author's probably romanticizing abusive relationships and marketing those books to teenagers. The author's probably just a weird grifter. The author's probably, I don't know, spending money donating them to anti-trans organizations. You know, like, yeah, look up who you're reading about. Look it up. It won't kill you. It won't, I promise you. And like, if you know your own morals and you know that you wouldn't want to be associated with or funding someone whose morals do not align with you, it's so much easier to just not read it than to read it, right? I mean, it's actually easier to not even open your phone and record a video about it than it is to do that. Editing this video is going to be a nightmare. This thing probably made absolutely no sense. But hey, if you're going to go into the comments and comment things about if I'm wrong and how you don't like X, Y, and Z, you want to have a conversation about you thinking that BookTok is a bunch of corn addicts, despite the fact that a bunch of people don't post about smut, a bunch of people don't read books with smut, a bunch of people likes to talk about books that are for children, and you think every time somebody posts about a book, it has to be about sex, I will delete it. Y'all have a great whatever time of day it is, though, and maybe I'll see you later. But I'm gonna take the rest of my hair down, so bye!